That's dope.
Where'd you grow up?
Santa Barbara, born and raised.
Nice.
Oh, really?
I'm born and raised in Santa Barbara. I moved up to San Luis Obispo to go to college. Lived there for 20 years, and then now I'm in Moore Park right now. I was in Hidden Hills for about 12 years. Now I'm in Moore Park. But
So
Nice.
the bulk of your
I'm
training.
within an hour and a half of where I grew up.
Nice.
Yeah. So the bulk of your training was in San Luis Obispo, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, most people don't consider San Luis Obispo as like a hub for MMA, and you know, most people like to train
Yeah.
with other high caliber people. So how did you know, go about like your training there? Do you feel like you were getting like the best quality training?
Yeah, John Ackerman been my coach for a long time. He was up there, and then I mean I was going back and forth with him in Vegas for John Lewis in the beginning for jiu-jitsu. And I had wrestling there. I had the guys to work with wrestling for my wrestling team. I wrestled with Cal Poly. And then, and yeah, we bring in people. We had a kind of like, during my career, we had partnership with AKA. So we had those guys coming down all the time. Cain Velasquez come down.
That's nice.
All those guys, a lot of guys. From
Yeah,
there.
Kane's a beast.
Quite a few guys. God, I can't think of all the guys' names, but yeah, we had quite a few guys from there that come on a regular basis. Cain came down a couple of times. Good dude.
Did you work on a lot of jiu-jitsu when you were training? Yeah.
That's a funny thing. I still get today, like people like, I think I was rolling it. I was it was probably now a year or two ago now, but I was, went by John Lewis's, he had his class. I was like, man, you want to roll? Oh, sure. Why not? You know, like, okay,
Yeah.
so you got a gi I can borrow? Yeah. So I borrowed a gi. Because I don't usually do jiu-jitsu in a gi. I'm not, so it's a little
Just
new to me.
no
But
gi,
I've been
yeah.
learning it I recently. I just something interesting, something to
Yeah.
learn and play with.
Yeah.
And I go in there and I'm rolling with one of his brown belts, and he's like, I swept him a couple of times. He's like, man, I thought you were a kickboxer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? You do realize I've been working with your coach since '97. I mean,
Well, I think it's because during your career, I could probably count the amount of times on my hand that you ever actually ended up on the ground.
yeah. Well,
you know?
people didn't. I didn't use it because standing on my feet was where I could finish fights. I mean, I used the ground to get up, but I was good on the ground. I remember Glover getting mad when I was going to fight Babalu, and everyone was the second time, and Babalu, and they're like talking about if you can just get him down, he can beat him. And Glover's like, man, Chuck beat him. He beat him in a jiu-jitsu match. But I'm like, so, but it's you know, it's probably was the funnest part of the sport when I started switching over, was learning that and learning how to mix it all together. Because I wrestled, you know, since I was 14.
Yeah.
And I doing karate since I was 12, doing striking, and I did kickboxing for 5 years competitively, and then, you know, then I went into doing when I started doing mixed martial arts. That was the newest thing to me, was learning the jiu-jitsu. So learning all the new moves and figuring out how to put them together and how I was going to use them. Because I kind of did it my own little way. Like John would show me stuff he liked. My buddy Scott Adams was a real good leg lock guy, and he'd show me some stuff for that. And I kind of do my own way of getting like halfway through their moves. I just pull my leg out. So I figured out I could just go halfway through setup, like I'm trying to go for a knee, like a roll through for a knee bar, and then I get halfway through and then pull my leg out, and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm out. And so people, and especially when I first started doing that, people were like expecting me to do the jiu-jitsu thing. So they'd be defending it, and then I pull my leg out, and they go, oh, damn,
Yeah.
where'd he go?
Well, you were very good at escaping bad positions, getting back to your feet. You know,
Sounds like my life. I'm definitely good at escaping bad positions and getting back on my feet. Definitely, I can relate to that one.
you know, I think through your whole career, if I'm thinking, I think you got one. The only time I can think of you landing like a big head kick might be against Babalu, right? For a knockout. Most of the time, you would just finish fights with your hands. Were you just so confident in your ability to strike that you never felt the need to use other techniques?
Well, I use my legs in a lot of fights. I mean, I think I near the end of my career, my knees were getting beat up a little bit, so it was getting a little harder to use them. But some of it came to like I was like, cause it wasn't so much like I wasn't when I get hurt sparring, like guys like I pull a head kick and they grab my leg and and I hurt my knee, and I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
I didn't kick you. I didn't kick you. You don't have to hold on to my knee.
Dude, I'm not even gonna show you, but my ankle is like 4 times its usual size right now because of
he's been
jujitsu.
doing jujitsu, and I was like, babe, he's so funny. He injured his ankle and he wanted to go back right away. I was like, no, let's let it heal first, so we don't end. I'm like, I can't be taking care of you in a wheelchair for life.
Hey, Chuck understands. He gets it. It's like you can't stay away from the gym, you know.
But I will say this though, even talking about ending fights with knocks, those are my favorite type of fights because, you know, we're fans of UFC. My mom's a huge fan of UFC. And I can't stand when the fight is like just the whole entire time all they're doing is grabbing each other. I'm like, this is mixed martial arts. It is not a wrestling match. Do more.
Well, there's 2 things I have with that. One, if you have to have a little more understanding of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But the other problem is a lot of times those guys aren't doing anything. They're not trying to finish a fight. They're not. I mean, I remember recently, Kamaru Usman lost.
Yep.
Chimaev. They said how he won that third round. How did he give him that third round? He was on top for 2 minutes, number one. Mm-hmm. So it's supposed to be divided by, and you're standing for 3, and Usman slightly were edged out the stand up on that round, and then the ground he was on top, so you give him a slight edge, but he did nothing, and he wasn't even trying to do anything. He was just trying to control.
Well, you know,
I know what I'm looking for. I mean, I know if you're trying to control somebody,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
if you're actually trying to advance and trying to get work for something.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I saw this quote by John Danaher, obviously for you know him, and he was saying that a lot of times people don't like to go for finishes because they're scared of getting swept and losing their position.
Well, of course, and I get that, but even that, I don't think you should be. I mean, if you're just staying in control, you shouldn't get that much of a.
Right.
If you're just sitting there holding, you're stalling.
It shouldn't be that valuable.
You're stalling. If you're not punching, you're not causing any damage. And I like submissions. I like guys that if you're not working to advance your position and go for something to finish the fight or get in a better position to punch, then what are you doing? Like you should. I'm not saying that if you can